যদি সবাই ফিরে যায়, ওরে ওরে ও ভাগা সবাই ফিরে যায়, যদি গহন পথে যাওয়ার কালে কেউ ফিরে না যায়, তবে পথের কাটা তুই রক্ত মাখা চরণ তলে একলা দলরে, তুই রক্ত মাখা চরণ তলে একলা দলরে, যদি তোর ডাক শুনে কেউ না আসে তবে একলা চলো রে। যদি আলো না ধরে, ওরে ওরে ও ভাগা আলো না ধরে, যদি ঝড় বাদলে আধার রাতে দুয়ার দেয় ঘরে, তবে বজ্রানলে আপন বুকের পাঁজর জ্বালিয়ে নিয়ে একলা চলো রে, আপন বুকের পাঁজর জ্বালিয়ে নিয়ে একলা চলো রে, যদি তোর ডাক শুনে কেউ না আসে তবে একলা চলো রে। একলা চলো, একলা চলো, একলা চলো, একলা চলো রে।
Hi guys, thank you for joining the live stream. Today we have with us finally the Libertarian Party of India. A huge welcome to you guys. Hi Tushar, hi Anoop.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Thank you.
And before we start guys, first of all, let me remind you, check this guy's podcast called Anoop Zombie Podcast. This is the spelling of his podcast name. And you'll find the best discussions on the Libertarian Party and their vision there, because today we don't have the amount of time they have already spent on the podcast. It's basically a gold mine. They have about 4 hours of content. It's just a new channel. Do check that channel out. Oh, 6 hours. Nice. So
Yeah, 2 hours of the budget session as well.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. On the live streams, right? I didn't
Yes.
check that out. Yeah, that has to be one of my questions as well. Your views on the budget. So, since the first thing that people consider while hearing the word libertarian is that we are going to now destroy all government and end the state as we know it, and there are going to be no borders. Pakistan and Bangladesh are going to be one. We are all going to have a field day. They are going to roam about here and there. So, what are your views first and foremost on the borders? Because that otherwise pisses everyone off about libertarianism.
See, the position on border is really simple. We want talented people all across the world to work in India.
Yeah.
But and we have exceptions for lunatics and people who would intend to come into the country and harm other organizations and basically destabilize the country. So there is an exception to them. It is similar to it is similar to the border policy that the United States had in the 19th century.
Right.
They had
Anybody
exception
who
for
enters
lunatics.
the country legally is okay, but anybody who enters the country illegally, no.
Right.
You're not supposed
Right.
to.
See, and one thing also, we already have a sort of open border with Nepal. They are fine.
Yeah, exactly. All the Darjeeling Nepal borders, there are no fences even, and any random guy can walk into Nepal, and
Yeah, so
we've never
that's
had any
fine.
problems with it.
And also, we don't have any trouble with Burma as well, aside the Rohingya problem. So,
Right.
and also Sri Lanka, now the visa requirement is almost off. So, it's sort of an open border with Sri Lanka as well.
Right. Okay. Now the list of the questions. Hope I'll be able to get through all of them, and there will be fantastic questions from the audience as well. I know we have a very informed audience. So, who is the founder of the Libertarian Party?
See, founder would be a big title, but definitely the story is that we were a few friends who were into. My background is from I have studied mostly in DAV school, if you know, Dayanand Anglo-Vedic.
Yeah.
Yes, and then I did my senior secondary in Bhavan Vidyalaya. The founder was K. Munshi. He was into the constitution, and he was sort of a Hindu figure, if we can say that. So it isn't like we sort of weren't part of what we call the liberal school elite or something like that. So we were a bunch of friends. None of us were communists or anything like that. And initially, we were thinking that Mr. Modi is a really great thing for the country, and he should be defended. And the opponents are socialist and useless, and they don't care about the country. So we started from there, but slowly, as things progressed, we came to the realization that although he is better than others, and BJP is better than others, still they have a foundational flaw that they still believe in bureaucracy as medium of administration, and they have mixed cultural issues with political issues. So they may win on the culture front, but they will never be able to surpass the economic and the economic front because of the belief that they have in bureaucracy. So building on that slowly.
If you look at the party itself, like internally, it is kind of a flat structure. You can see different people taking the lead on different things, but they all have one common point. They all kind of came through, Tushar and that understanding of the Libertarian Party. So when you say founder, I would definitely say that Tushar is the one. But it's a very interesting dynamic, like everybody just takes the lead on different things, and it's a very nice dynamic to be.
Also, one thing is that this was bound to happen because Javier Milei. I was keeping track of Javier Milei. We used to discuss him even when he was not popular, and especially when he ranted against leftists, and we used to like that. So eventually, when he won, we were really happy. And then 2024 election came, and I saw that this discourse is as regressive as it comes. And since I'm into entrepreneurship, I thought that let's start a political startup as well. And coincidentally, Libertarian Party was free. I think it's what is really amusing to me that no one in India had ever tried to form a Libertarian Party. So I thought let's do it. Maybe it's some signal or something.
Do you think the Swatantra Party of yesteryears or the Swarna Bharat Party, they were libertarian parties and they just didn't call themselves libertarian?
See, they qualify as liberal parties but not libertarian, because one of the fundamental assumptions of libertarianism is that you don't trust government as the ultimate authority in the economy. And liberals believe that liberals are more in the direction of we need good leaders. The government can function well.
So my next question is why libertarianism? Why is it a good thing, and what is it?
See, libertarianism is the belief in the foundation of libertarianism, the non-aggression principle, basically, that you cannot something similar to ahimsa, the concept of ahimsa that we have. And it is belief in that individual. The first line of the Constitution of the United States says that individual is free to pursue in life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. So these are the freedoms that have been guaranteed by the Constitution, and this is how individual flourishes. The common dichotomy is between conservative and liberal. So, but both are collectivists in their sort of collectivist. One is politically collectivist, other one is culturally collectivist. Libertarianism is individualist in both spheres. So this is how libertarianism is different from the existing idea spectrum that we have.
This is the only system that can allow somebody to act on your own free will. There is no other. Everything else is controlled by something. Here, you make your initiatives, you make your carve your path, and there is nothing else better than that for anybody.
And there are always accusations on anyone speaking out in favor of markets that this is Western style capitalism. What do you have to say to that? What is Western about capitalism?
There is nothing. Markets are universal. Western. Those who accuse it of Western propaganda, being Western, are basically of Indian Marxist and socialist tilt. So they mix nationalist tints into the idea so that it becomes it seems foreign. If you talking about if you translate libertarianism into Hindi, it translates to Muktivad. So Mukti is as Indian as they come. So. I don't think it's a
Yeah.
foreign ideology or anything like it. Is desire for liberty universal or Western? You need to ask that question yourself.
Yeah. Now, going through some of the specific Hindutva arguments and let's say demands from this government, which even this government is not meeting, but I think are inherently libertarian positions. So I'll go through them now. Your thoughts on temple freedom? Should temples be regulated by the government?
No.
No.
Government, which is basically politicians and bureaucrats, have no business in cultural institutions like temples.
Religion is something very personal to a person, like
Yes.
you don't have to get other humans involved in it. Get your divine powers in place. That is what religion is about. So no one should interfere with you.
Some people even hold the view that some people even hold the view that libertarianism is just a legal philosophy about what restraints we have to put on the government. It has nothing to do with culture and all. Although debates may vary, but still, I think everyone is clear that bureaucrats and politicians have no business in running temples.
Now, I'll just play the devil's advocate from the people, from the Hindus who are against temple freedom for some reason, but the government doesn't really regulate churches and mosques. So the accusation is that it will be done in a corrupt way. So how do we prevent corruption if the temple is free to run itself? Shouldn't the Babu save us from corruption in temples?
Sorry, what sort of corruption are we talking about?
Yeah.
That there will be mismanagement of funds. All the dans that the temple will get, someone will misappropriate it for their own pockets and stuff.
So the Hindus have this argument that the temples will misappropriate the funds.
Yes, lots of Hindus and lots of Hindu right-wingers. Hindu leftists, so definitely, even Hindu right-wingers.
Yeah, but that would happen anyway, right?
Yeah, and politicians and bureaucrats. Politicians and bureaucrats are absolutely clean.
Here's the thing. If a politician and bureaucrat is involved in these things, they have something on you. There is somebody who has, it's almost like a blackmail. I know what you're doing, and and there is somebody who has control over your life right now. And that includes things like, taxes and stuff like that. They have control over your life right now. And, anything you do out of the ordinary is almost like, okay, I got you there. So why would you allow anybody to do that to you for your personal life? You never allow anybody to do that.
One of the arguments that I heard that temples shouldn't be freed is that because of they will perpetrate casteism and discrimination. And my reply to that is the Truth and Reconciliation Commission that existed in South Africa. We never went through that process, and that process will. But that is a cultural process. The head of that committee was Archbishop Desmond Tutu. He wasn't a politician or some bureaucrat trying to solve the problem. He was
exactly.
There are documentaries on Truth and Reconciliation Commission, and they are very. They are very emotionally heightened up, but you get the point that India should have gone on the path of truth and reconciliation, and instead of politicians and bureaucrats and reservation and all that stuff. So we never. This was a cultural problem which needed to be solved culturally instead of politicians and bureaucrats getting involved in it.
Exactly. Unless it's organic and ground up and cultural, there's no solving it anyway. Just like we are seeing, it's not getting solved anyway.
75 years is enough to prove.
Yeah, exactly.
75 years is enough to prove that you have utterly failed. 75 years is 4 generations, and it's enough to wipe out any cultural problems that you have.
Yeah. Now thoughts on the Waqf board?
Afuera.
Okay. He has said Afuera, guys. Yeah, go on.
Yeah, but talking more of in sensible terms. So we need to first flip the Places of Worship Act, which is illegal and to a certain extent unconstitutional because it impedes on right to worship, right place of worship. So first getting rid of that, then slowly moving back to originally what the organization was intended for, which was basically taking care of properties of refugees who had crossed over to Pakistan. So we can slowly. It is a drudging process. We have to do it slowly. But if we lived in an ideal world, this corrupt organization would end.
And again, the devil's advocate argument in this. Yeah, go on.
This is not to say that it isn't doing something good or it isn't valuable, but I think I have heard many people inside the organization who aren't that outspoken, saying that it has been taken over by mafias and all. So they are totally abusing the power.
Okay. Yeah, that's bound to happen. So now again, the devil's advocate argument. I've debated this with my commie friends as well. They have said that, but what if Hindus unite and take away all Muslim lands and kick them away? Isn't Waqf board the last sort of a protection and resistance against Hindu aggression on Muslim properties?
What is your evidence for that?
Right, it's just a hunch, a vibe that commies have.
Yeah, hunches can exist for all the time, but see, we have
because there will not be anybody in a libertarian system. There's nobody to instigate the Hindu community together to go and attack this, right? So that's what is happening right now. People are going and saying, "Hey, let's do this," and everybody gets all riled up as if there is some problem.
Yeah.
People are just busy with their own lives. Like idle mind is devil's workshop. People are busy with their own lives. Nobody is sitting there and instigating them. You can, like he said, that's the proof. There's going to be nothing happening.
Yeah, and unless someone has the powers, they won't be listened to, even if he tries to instigate. The power is the source of the instigation.
Yes.
So, thoughts on reservations and merit?
Reservations. We need to create better. What is basically reservation? What reservation basically is trying to do is giving the so-called backward communities opportunity to get their share in the state resources. So, in a socialist system, since the state have limited resources, since it is a fixed pie system, so every community ends up fighting for getting the greater share of the pie. But what we propose is that let's expand the pie and shrink the government so that everyone can naturally get greater share rather than relying on government mechanism for getting it.
Nice.
And
yeah, you're gone.
I don't know. I don't know how to argue for merit. Haven't you got? It's like arguing for oxygen.
I have recently learned an argument against merit from a person called Deen Dayal Upadhyay, one of the founders of RSS or Jansang, I think. His argument, which is actually factual. The problem is, we will, if at all we have to defend merit, we will have to say that yes, that is true. But even then, we have to stand in favor of merit, which is that people with the most brains and cultural capital or economic capital even, and who can afford better education, they will go on top of every position of every institution and monopolize the power. Then how does a poor person with
how is this person having the power to speak now? Was it on merit, or did somebody just say, "Hey, why don't you get out there and become the president, right, of whatever it is?" So
no one asked him that follow-up question.
He is contradicting himself when he is there. He was there on he's there on merit, or what? Did he pay somebody to get there? I don't know.
Right.
What is also, your right to be there at that point?
Yes. Also addressing the question, what evidence do you have? Has it ever happened? Where are the Rockefellers right now?
Right. Now, since BJP RSS, they do believe in those sorts of views. They ardently believe that it's representation is more important than merit. It's my outsiders' personal opinion on BJP and RSS, seeing them from outside. They actively believe that no matter how stupid you are, if you are poor or if you are from a lower caste, you deserve certain positions. Or if you're a woman, no matter how bad you are at your job, you deserve some position because your ancestors have faced the brunt of society. Does that solve the merit problem? Will their children therefore now become meritorious, and now we have a better society that generation onwards?
See, even in the same families, even in the same family or in the same household, you have underachievers and overachievers. How can you think that how can you, first of all, where is the basic belief that individual be just on the basis of his character rather than with the community he belongs to? And secondly, representation makes simply not. We have 75 years of history, and all across the world, Thomas Sowell covered it really well, the history of reservation and all. He has shown that every time, because these things are dependent on network effects. Giving the most recent example, Africans have started migrating to Europe. And now Africans are the biggest rising business community in Europe right now. It is little talked and covered, but because these things happen because of network effect. They start with the right thing, that the network effects are involved. That's why certain communities become successful. That's right. But the solution to that isn't that you artificially create network effects. They have to come
Yeah.
naturally. When
Yes.
you create artificial network effects, you have artificial castes, like in UP you have a certain caste
Yeah.
dominating, and in Bihar you have a certain caste dominating, and in general SC there is a certain, it's a 2-3 castes are dominating all the um, reservation seats or something like that. So when you create artificial top-down reforms, what ends up happening is
Yeah.
that a certain community is able to capture on the network effect. So
Yeah.
even if you argue for it, the evidence is stacked against you that the implementation of policy simply ends up. And talking about the women's reservation bill, so what will naturally end up happening is that those from prominent political families,
Yes. Yeah.
their women will get the first chance of these, and the
Yeah.
power will keep circulating between them. So you just have eased the path for the pre-existing political caste to widen their
Yeah.
scope.
Yeah. And what you mentioned about the networks, that is exactly what Thomas Well points out, that all the Agarwals and the Banias of India who became successful in Southeast Asia and Africa later got kicked out because of their insanely strong networking powers, which others didn't have. So they were criticizing just their networking powers, that why are you such great friends with other Agarwals? That was the criticism that the governments had in those countries.
And the funny thing is that wherever they migrated, they were successful again in 2 generations. So
right. Yes. So
similar thing is with the Jews. They have strong network effects.
Exactly.
That's why they are able to,
Yes.
even after all the tribulation that they have faced, they still rise up in every culture they join.
Yeah. Yeah. And which is why, what I was telling you just before we went live, that as a Savarkarite liberal, or as a Savarkarite secular, maybe, we have ever asked for, all Hindu Mahasabha ever asked for, all Savarkar ever asked for, were equal rights. Hindus don't even need extra rights. And it's and with the facade of that extra rights, someone or the other is just doing corruption and nothing is getting done. And merit is definitely screwed at the moment.
See, that's why I keep repeating that this fallacy of good leader will come in and things will work out. We have this theory has failed time and again. That's why libertarians are like, let's screw the system and let open market competition come into this aspect as well.
Right. This was actually my second last question. I'll just jump to that one right now. Why is it wrong for a Hindutvadi today to dream or hope for that, for a statist Hindutvadi, to hope for that one all-powerful Hindu state or Hindu prime minister who will take care of all Hindus magically and have so much powers that no Hindu is ever harmed? What's the problem with that view? Why is it not feasible?
I feel like it is not just about Hindus. At the end of the day, people need to believe in themselves. Like a lot of people don't believe that. That's the basic human sense that you need to have. You need to believe in yourself. Like there are a lot of things you have done on your own. Draw inspiration from that. You don't need a leader. We literally don't. Like even like that's what we are talking about, the Libertarian Party, right? Who's the founder? I mean, we don't care. We really don't. I mean, whether Tushar is there or not, this process will run. So at the end of the day, you believe in yourself. It starts from you and everything you can do. You have been given the same items as everybody else. Use it. And even if you don't have one hand, use the rest. So, and that is kind of the core belief. But I'm sure Tushar has some opinions on that as well.
Yeah.
See, first of all, what Anoop has said is absolutely right. But I would like to add that how do you will again, if you define a Hindutva state, you will fall in. See, BJP or whatever Hindutva discourse is, it is more about vibes and all. They haven't really concretized the idea, and when you concretize the idea, you will get into the contradictions that exist in it. And when contradiction exists, all sort of infighting will start happening. So you cannot. That's the beauty of Hinduism. That all the what is see RSS has RSS. What is the belief of RSS in who are Hindus, and what are Hindus defined globally except in India? In the past, it was basically the people who existed from Himalaya to the Indian Ocean. Those were the Hindus. So, and all the different Middle Eastern beliefs that have come into India, they too were appropriated. Even Greek gods were appropriated in the Indian system. So it is as much a cultural identity as much a geographical identity. So define Hindu state in terms of so we already have a Hindu state. So wherever Hindus are living, we have a Hindu state. So you are mixing two different things: politics and culture. Culturally we already are, and you cannot say that a Christian isn't a Hindu, and or a Muslim isn't a Hindu. The Saudi Arabians call Indian Muslims as Hindus. So where do they fit in? So these are contradictory terms, and someone really needs to grind Hindutva that what basically it stands for. It is, as Savarkar said, it is more of a reactionary position as compared to something concrete.
Wait, I'll just take 2 super chat questions here. Do you have a symbol? Are you planning to fight elections, state or nation? This was going to be my question anyway. What are your plans?
Symbol right now we are with the lion, and I think it suits pretty well. You also have a lion, so planning to fight election? Yes. No, not national. We'll start with state, specifically states that have been afflicted by communism, which are mainly West Bengal, Kerala, and to a certain extent Punjab. Then new entrant. The new entrants are Delhi and Goa.
And people in West Bengal are very much ready for markets and investment and industry these days. Everyone in Trinamool to CPM, BJP, everyone calls for it. They just don't know that the ideology is called libertarianism, or that this is what capitalism is all about.
Entire India is ready for markets, man. Entire India is ready for market, because they are just scared. They are just scared of something that they shouldn't be scared of. You're scared of some force falling back on you. Because everybody is complicit of some crime in India because of the system that we are involved in. And don't be my thing is don't be scared anymore. Just at least talk about, be honest about what you want in your life. You don't have to worry about the whole economy and the whole country. At least at the end of the day, start from home.
Be
honest. Be honest. That's the first thing. Be honest, at least in telling what your problems are. Be very clear, even with your family, with your friends, as to what you're going through, and ensure you are being heard. Because don't be scared. Because when you're scared, people are taking advantage of us. They are going to take advantage of your children. Don't let that happen. The things that we have gone through, our parents never expected it for us, but we are going through it. So don't let that happen to anybody. Speak up.
Next question is, given the mimetic nature of desires and ubiquitous advertisements, how is libertarianism worth anyway?
Is freedom undesirable and unsexy?
Freedom, non-negotiable.
When has youth ever asked that? When has youth ever asked that enslave us?
Right. Okay, here's a good question. For the sake of understanding, what is your idea to convert economic policies into libertarian economy? Let's take West Bengal as model state. What would be your action plan here?
First would be decentralizing it. Basically, Kolkata municipality will be becoming really powerful. Basically, each town municipalities and city municipalities will be becoming powerful. Basically, they will have greater allocation of budget. Decentralization of power, in short, and getting rid of all the unnecessary regulations that exist at state level, giving greater policy autonomy to cities and towns to compete with each other in terms of industrial growth and all. So basically, decentralization is the biggest point that we are pursuing. Additionally, gun rights.
Right. Speak up a little more on that. Again, gun rights, whenever I mention gun rights, I have to hear accusations of Western capitalism or Western propaganda, or that school shootings are happening in USA, therefore we can't have gun rights in West Bengal. So why gun rights?
So, but there are no school shooting happening in Switzerland, which has I think more higher gun ownership rate than USA. So you are conflating two different problems. USA has a
Right.
mental health problem that is
Yeah.
that is being reflected by their gun violence problem, but Switzerland doesn't suffer the same problem. So there is no thing like that.
Right. Wait. Buddhadev is saying, okay, he's by the way, who gifted me the Ayn Rand book. He's saying that my second question wasn't answered. Buddhadev, then ask it again, reframe it in a different way, and I'll take it up again. Okay. And now this brings me to law and order. What do we do about thieves, terrorism, and riots and stuff? What is the libertarian position on that? How do we strengthen it up?
Strengthen the police system up.
In what way? Then hire more police.
No, I'm asking you, law and order in terms of police or law and order in terms of for
Internal
justice
security.
or things like that.
No, internal security.
Yeah, so privatization is the way to go. Public-private partnership.
How does that work in a riot situation or just normal? Let's say, do you know what tolabaji is? Like hafta vasuli, those kinds of things. Which are the biggest banes of West Bengal today?
Yeah, so that things for that we need gun rights.
Right.
See, the best. If anyone who is watching, I would like them to Google Korean guns LA riots. They will get a small documentary on how Koreans saved themselves from when LA was suffering from riots. The Koreans who were trained in military back in South Korea basically they made a makeshift makeshift self-defense force and protected their shops from all the rioters. So, but the essential point was that they had gun rights and training in how to use them. That's what required for self-defense in terms of rights and all.
Right. What do you think of the Yogi Adityanath way of decreasing crimes and the mafia just by beating the shit out of all criminals that he can lay his eyes on? What do you think of that idea?
See, I get it that it is really popular, but you need to think about when the other party gets into power and start doing the same thing. So you will.
Yes.
If that isn't justice, it may sound harsh, but that isn't justice. You need to. That is more of a papering over or a more abstract and difficult problem.
Right.
Yeah, it is the distortion that is the issue. It is the distortion that is the issue. Again, it is like
see, gun rights will solve a lot of issues that we have.
Exactly.
Also, one thing I would like to if you don't want to read about gun Koreans in LA, you can read about stories of Bihar when under Jungle Raj. Recently, a podcast came out as well that when under Jungle Raj, Bihari in villages of Bihar, people used kattas they used to take turns to save the household in a particular area and by their own means and by their own weapons. So it isn't like they were shooting around anyone. So people are very responsible with their safety. So gun rights isn't that. Gun rights will solve a lot of distortions that we have. And additionally, to all the nationalists, it was the Britishers who took away gun rights, and Mahatma Gandhi said that it was the gravest tragedy that the British ever did to the Indian subcontinent.
And which is what rich people have anyway. All of them have trained security guards and they are living in gated communities. We are worrying about school shootings. But what your counter was to the Yogi Adityanath way of doing things, I'm now hearing some counter arguments from right-wingers themselves and like free market people like Abhijit Ayar Mitra and all that. See, when the other side comes to power, they are probably going to do it anyway. So why not our side does it anyway, and we also have a nice time till the time that our guys are in power, if they are our guys, so to speak.
That's not the way to treat people, though. No, like at the end of the day, you need to realize that they are human, man. Like you go.
See, that's what I'm saying. That they are just. This is another extension of the good leader fallacy that we right now have. We have a good leader. Just let him do whatever he wants. So when the bad leader comes, when the bad leader comes, we will suffer. So that's a fallacy. Let's start with individual rights. Build a system from there, and we won't face any of such voter lottery dependent issues.
Protect yourself and your family first. Don't worry about everybody else. They can protect themselves. That's how you need to think.
Now, on freedom of speech, where are you on that?
Absolutely.
complete, right?
Yes.
But what if, like, just few days back, Salwan Momika
No.
got killed? So,
But two different things. Freedom of speech, government cannot censor speech, but cultural institutions and private institutions can define what speech is acceptable on their platforms and what their institutions. Government
exactly.
won't be involved in censorship.
Right. Nice. But then, let's say if I'm voting in a person in to become the chief minister or prime minister, shouldn't I have some expectations out? I'm just playing the devil's advocate. I agree with you, by the way. So shouldn't I have some expectations of him or her that he will make sure that my gods and deities are not disrespected?
See, they are disrespected. You do whatever you want, but you cannot let politicians and bureaucrats involved in it, because if one day they are taking your side, maybe for more money or some more influence, they may take the other side. So
Yeah.
they aren't what we say that वो किसी के सगे नहीं होते. So you cannot let them into a handle it. You handle it on your own. Maybe talk to that person or things like that. I think most bigotry ends when you just have a good conversation with the other side. So it may sound flower people talk, but most of it is really effective.
Yeah. No one's going to talk to.
It's about the priorities, right? What is your priority?
Yes.
If your priority is doing business, you will never fight with anybody. At the end of the day,
That's
you
one
kind
thing.
of, if your priority is to instigate or, create a distortion, that is when these things happen. Otherwise, they don't happen. Come on.
You were giving the example of the Gujarat riots, that one locality in Gujarat did not face the riots from any side, either side, because all of them were focused on business. But Salwan Momika got killed, and
Yes.
so does free speech work unless we have sacrosanct gun rights?
No.
Right.
Because you're taking you're taking away the right to self-defense by inhibiting gun rights. You cannot have free speech without right to self-defense.
Right. Exactly.
Good point,
Because
also Dave
on.
Chappelle has this joke. Dave Chappelle has this joke that we have First Amendment, and in case First Amendment doesn't work, we have Second Amendment.
Right. Here's him reframing the question. You say you stand for freedom, but if desires are shaped by capital-driven ads and thought control, is your quote-unquote freedom anything more than a well-funded illusion?
Well, I think this is more of a philosophical question. Do you believe in free will or not? So how can I? This is where.
Can you show that question again?
So each philosophy. If you go into each why of each philosophy, at some point you will hit the basic assumption on which all is built. So desire for freedom is built on in free will. You cannot have freedom without free will. So if you don't believe in free will, that isn't to say that
your life
this isn't to say that
based on
this doesn't mean that we aren't influenced by advertising and all, but if we keep how should I say, if we keep changing our choices, that means we are driven by something more than capital driven ads or something like that, because based on this, someone with the most capital would have got everything in his favor. But since the spectrum keeps moving left and right, this means that something more is driving the individual than.
Right.
So what I wanted to add here is that your life is based on your experiences. The more experiences you have, the smarter you're going to get about everything. Nobody can control you the more. So get out there and have as many experiences as possible. You buy a phone from XYZ company and it doesn't work. Are you going to buy it again? No. Right? So your life is based on certain experiences and what you that's why you find a lot of people who have never left their towns. They just don't get it. They just don't get the fact that, I can mingle with other religions or other castes or this or that. But then you come to a city like Bangalore, or Pune or wherever that is, and you come and people don't even care what religion you're from. All they want to do is go to a pub or have a good time, and that's about it. And so it is about experiences. So go out there, have more experiences. You'll be able to understand if somebody is actually controlling your mind or not. And you learn, you will make those mistakes. Somebody will control you, just like how we are being controlled right now. We are being controlled right now, and we still haven't realized it. A lot of people still haven't realized it. So you're right. People are controlling our thoughts right now. They are instigating us. Break the chains. Get out of there as fast as possible. The only way you can do that is by having more experiences. Like people who have never left India will never really understand issues that will never really understand America. They will always look at America as like this big, devil country that's going to come. No, but when you go there and actually speak to the people, you will realize something very different as to why America is America and Europe is Europe. So, go out there, have your experiences, and then make informed decisions on things.
Yeah. And in terms of making new experiences, I think that is why urbanization, or let's say just more free markets, solves casteism and caste-based bad behavior. And what you added in the beginning, that was a very good point as well, that state is issuing different status, let's say, importances to some groups arbitrarily, and that too in some places only. Like the only thing I think that BJP does better than Congress is that BJP puts non-dominant caste chief ministers in places where that guy's caste is not the dominant one. And but Congress used to play the caste-based narratives and let's say all the calls for caste census and stuff, but they never screwed with the dominant caste of any place. They were happy, let's say, making each other fight, making all the castes fight amongst themselves. But whoever is the dominant caste in one place gets stagnated. They are the dominant caste even 40 years later in that particular place. Do you think free market is the best way or the only way to solve casteism?
Yes.
There is no other way, I think, literally.
Yeah, and also we had an interaction. I think you also reposted it, that we were coding. I think recently did a stream on how Japan solved its casteism problem. So it's little talked about how Japan free marketed its way out of casteism. So we have evidence for it. That also additionally, not exactly casteism, but racial discrimination. Malaysia started with reservations, but got rid of it eventually because they industrialized.
This question has been asked now 5-6 times. I'll just take it on that for that reason. Freedom of speech, though, we have answered. Entrenching wokeism through judiciary related to LGBTQ. Now, this was one of my questions. Your thoughts on the judiciary, and then pronoun wokeism, blasphemy laws, courts, moral policing. Just take all of them one by one. In short, then.
Judiciary regarding what?
Wokeism, entrenching wokeism through judiciary related to LGBTQ.
Wokeism is just another collectivist ideology and a more sinister one. So we are against it. Talking in terms of judicial reform. Also, this isn't to say that there aren't people on the spectrum and they are free to do whatever they want in their personal life. The state has no right in impeding in their personal lives until and unless they are forcing others to comply with them. That is a free speech issue. So until unless they aren't inhibiting on the freedoms of others, then it's fine. And talking about judicial reforms, I think a good story to learn from would be that Gujarati guy who was running his own court, and people were coming to him for judgments. So first read his example and then think that maybe we can privatize civil court cases to private entities and private arbitration.
What do you think of activist judges these days who think they are the next social reformer? They have to do it with the power of their chair. And how do you get rid of them?
No, another symptom of centralization, decentralization would solve these problems. See, we have a good example of Roman Empire, how it never, even in Ashoka may be glorified, but he was a great interventionist. And the same didn't happen for Chandragupta. So Chandragupta eventually became a Jain monk. It is little mentioned anywhere, but he became a Jain monk. And there was no mention of him preaching to everyone that you should follow this and things like that. So
Exactly.
it's fallacious that to think that you can just people are pawns and you can direct them in the direction that you want. And
Hmm.
those who are power hungry and want to govern other people, they are specific. Those psychopaths are specifically attracted to centralizing institutions. And
Right.
in a decent as Taleb said that it would if Germany was decentralized, it would have been really hard for Hitler to rise. So
Hmm.
decentralization will solve a lot of these problems that we face, that
Hmm.
activist judges and all. People will have
Right.
the impulses. The point is,
Yeah.
these impulses don't create system-wide problems, and only a decentralized system can ensure that. Even if we have even if we have a Pol Pot, that Pol Pot
Hmm.
will be restricted to a small municipality in some area, and people
Yeah.
are free to move away from
Leave.
that.
Exactly. Now, in
So even if
the
we
in
have
the
some
situation, yeah, go on.
So even if we have some activist judge, his domain is
Hmm.
limited to his township, and people can leave
Right.
if they are not interested. Yes.
But the
Yeah.
main thing I want to point out here is like, look at all these terms like LGBT pronoun, wokeism. All
Hmm.
these have been instigated from the center because, there was a time when
Yeah.
nobody even cared if you were gay or whatever it is
Yes.
during the war because they had bigger
Yeah.
problems. There were bombs being
Yeah.
dropped on them. Nobody gave a crap.
Yeah.
So now
Yeah. Yeah.
suddenly everybody is like, these are all messagings that are coming from somewhere. It'll
Yes.
stop coming the moment a
Yeah.
libertarian government is there because there is
Yeah.
nobody to instigate these. These are terms that you don't see like just like that.
Hmm.
Well, what are these? Like, who's going to moral police you? That's because there is even here saying something like, "Oh, Hindus don't have the guts for free speech," is what is mentioned in this
Hmm.
comment here, which is kind of ridiculous because every person. So you're kind of binding yourself to something that is not allowing you to speak freely. It could be anything. You
Yeah.
could be binding yourself to be one religion or one
Hmm.
type of culture, one type of state, or whatever it is. I mean, at the end of
Hmm.
the day, you need to unbind and get out, and say,
Any
okay,
Yeah.
I'm proud to be a Hindu, but
Hmm.
I will speak my mind. So what?
Hmm.
That's
Hmm.
Yeah,
about it.
any sort of collectivist or identity
Yes.
will not be recognized by the government. Government has
Yeah.
no
Right.
business in your. It will judge you on the basis of the content of your character, not the identity that you belong to.
Hmm. Now, do you believe that Narendra Modi actually tried to decentralize the judiciary, or at least make sure that such insanity doesn't happen from the side of the judiciary? Do you believe he
See,
wanted to do
see,
that?
see, judicial reform is a tough one because it is whatever criticism that you have, it is relatively sane institution in terms of compared to others. It
Hmm.
has somewhat protected the individual liberty in India and somewhat
Hmm.
protected the fundamental rights. So it
Hmm.
is historically. I would say I have a mixed opinion about the
Yeah.
judiciary. In terms of Mr. Prime Minister Modi, he hasn't done much in the front end. There have been some innovations introduced, but I don't think that there has been major change in the status quo as such.
Right.
Yeah.
That was my going to be my follow-up question anyway. That even if he wants to do it, or he wants to get NJC passed through, and if it is up to the judges to decide that whether there will be reform in their house or not, how do we get it done ever? Because institutions will always protect themselves.
Yeah, see, that's what people need to realize, that each institution has its own interest, and it may
Hmm.
claim to look out after you, but they are first looking after their own.
Yeah.
Yeah. So even hypothetically, a libertarian prime minister, how does he get this done with just the power of a landslide mandate? Then that my people have voted me to do this, I'll just do it no matter what you say. That way.
See, no, uh, Taleb has this good saying that you cannot correct a crooked system. You just have to let it crumble. But we cannot let the judiciary crumble. So what we can do is
Right.
that let's believe that these are good people, and let's supplement their capacity by introducing private participation and private participation in the form of private arbitration, and that gentleman from Gujarat. Those actors, they can definitely supplement the ability of the judiciary to deliver justice.
Hmm. Now, Babudam, first question is how have we landed in such a situation that they get away with being incompetent and being just tax burners? How are they getting away with this?
Because we haven't gotten out of British era yet. British colonialism,
Hmm.
we haven't gotten out of it. We still think that the collector is some king of
Yeah.
district, which he isn't.
Hmm.
So that's more of
Here,
a cultural issue. Additionally,
comes
see,
to the taxes thing, right? So let's say you have something like income tax coming onto you. So there is control on a particular person. So the moment you have money, like anybody can now say, oh, you have money, I want some of that. Now the control increases over that person, right? So now you will do something that now complicits you to the crime. So now you're part of the system of the corruption, whether you're the guy giving the money or you're the guy taking the money.
Yes.
So people are now afraid to speak. Like you want an electric connection, somewhere down the line you're given somebody $500. So the entire system has been just layered with corruption that people are going to be very scared to speak out about anything. So
see, people need to realize that where we are right now is also because of Jawaharlal Nehru considered himself a liberal, and he fell for the same fallacy that we just need good leaders. The entire Congress argument was that the Britishers aren't interested in India. That's why we have all the perils. We need to get into Indians need to get into power so that they can work well for Indians. The bureaucracy was same as it existed before, but since now it has better people in charge, so it will be able to deliver better. And then by each iteration, it kept getting worse and worse. The scope of its power increased more and more. So this was the monstrosity that we have right now is the outcome of the liberal thought that we just need better leaders or better governors to deliver on the results, and never realizing that. Yes.
What people need to stop is the different control systems on their lives. So if one particular thing, like that's why I'm glad that people fought for income taxes, because that was a major control system on your life. You need to fight for other control systems, like people are controlling you with religion, cut that out. People are controlling you with anything, any form of caste, this and that. It's time for us to just get rid of all those control systems that people can take advantage of, because they are your personal things, and then figure out from there how we are going to rise as a society. What kind of a society do we want to be? I think we'll make a great marketing trader society. That's kind of what I feel. So that's why free markets will fit, because everybody here knows how to talk to somebody and make some money. That is kind of who we are. Let's just embrace that and that alone, and we'll be okay.
Now Anand is pointing out that Nehru didn't consider himself a liberal. I guess he called himself a liberal, but he was a Fabian socialist in the end, who wanted control of the state on the minds of
people. That's what I'm saying. He was a Fabian socialist politically, but culturally he was a liberal.
Right. Then wait, we have another interesting question from Anand. He's asking, what are the issues with private arbitration? Have they done the cons analysis?
Cons analysis. Even Mahatma Gandhi promoted. See, cons analysis. Whatever company fails, it will get out of the system. So, what sort of analysis do we need for it? Private competition. Competition will solve it. So, no analysis needed for this.
Now, he is saying that he is suspicious of Libertarian Party of India, since all their talking points and philosophy is imported from the USA. So again, Western style vibes and Western propaganda. So explain yourself.
See, America has done a tremendous job in labeling themselves land of the free and the brave. Maybe we need to do some marketing on that. So I don't think libertarianism is some foreign ideology. It's just a legal system that is more relevant to the 21st century.
I mean, I would like to ask a follow-up question. Okay, so if this is the Western system, what is our system? What do we stand for? At the end of the day, if a person can answer that, that will be great, because I want freedom. That's why my T-shirt says that. What do you want? What is your first word?
Also, talking about Indic values. Let's talk about in terms of Indic values. What are our Indic values? Dharma, Arth, Kam, Moksha. These are the four foundations of our Hindu system, right? We all can agree on that. Where is it ever mentioned that the government needs to be involved in these spheres? Where is it ever mentioned? Has it ever been mentioned that government needs to be involved in your Dharma, Arth, Kam, Moksha?
I guess the Chanakya quote of Arthasya Moolam Rajya, Dharmasya Moolam Artha, Arthasya Moolam Indriyajaya or Rajya. So the Rajya, the governance is important because after all, he was writing the Arthashastra as a manual for kings, not for the people.
Yes. But Hindu philosophy doesn't mention that you need the government for all these achieving. Where was it ever mentioned that for moksha you need the government?
Yeah. Now, who will do the arbitration? The private arbitration?
Companies, private.
Lots of people.
Like I mentioned the story of that Gujarati guy. Individuals like those who have been trained in the legal tradition and can handle disputes on their own.
Right.
And of course, there'll be an escalation chain as well, right? Okay, so if you're not okay with this private company, there's a good chance you can escalate to another, private arbitration and stuff like that. So it'll all
that's what I'm saying. That what objective are you trying to achieve? If you want to, we aren't saying that we will have only one system. We will have competing. Our argument is let's have competing systems. If you want to go through the government chain, that the government route, then it's fine. But if you want, there definitely is an opportunity for an alternative. And additionally, it isn't that we are talking about something new. Private arbitration is currently happening. It isn't that wide recognized, but it is going on right now. So it is just on the uptick.
Yeah. Ninu is asking, don't you think people naturally want government intervention and see governments as arbitrators of justice, and therefore libertarians can't fundamentally win because of that view that people have?
Yeah.
See,
I don't want the government interfering in anything in my life. I can, first of all, solve my problems on my own by having a decent conversation with somebody. Or I think private arbitration, I would trust that more than the government, because I don't know who's involved in the government, but here I know the board of directors, I know who's involved, I know what it is and all of that. I have more information and I'm not scared of a private company. Which private company are you guys scared of? Like, are you scared of Steve Jobs? If he does you wrong, you can go and you can shout at him. But I don't know. I know everybody's scared of the government. So it's like, okay, who's the beast you want to arbitrate your problems with? Something you don't know, or something you can say, hey, I know your structure. I know who your CEO is. I know whatever MD, whatever it is. I know your right down to your last employee. I know what their role is in this company.
Yeah.
See, freedom isn't for the weak-hearted. If you know what I mean, freedom isn't for the weak-hearted. Those who are weak in sort of way, they need to be dependent on others. And those who have a healthy psyche, I have this funny saying that I haven't found a weightlifting communist yet. So that's why I think someone should do some psychometric analysis, that there is a huge convergence between those who are physically fit and those who are into libertarianism.
Conservative. Yeah, and anything right wing. Who will handle issues if that arbitration is subject to fraud? If the arbitration itself is fraud?
Go to the next organization.
Simple.
You have plenty of options.
Yeah.
But right now,
in the libertarian system, you will have thousands of options.
If you don't like it in this city, you go in some other city. If you don't like the other city, go to other city. Basically, we have created so many options that you will never run out of options.
Yeah, I have some follow-up devil's advocate questions to this again, but we can't just stay on one topic. So if we have time in the end, we'll get back to this. Anand, if you are up there until the end of the live stream, do ask these questions again. I'll just ask now the Baburam question that we all are seeking the answers to. That how do we get the bureaucracy in line? How do we get them to be efficient?
Can't be done.
Yeah.
We can see bureaucracy, whether it's in government sector or in private sector, is always inefficient, because it is more of a structural problem. Because when you have large chain of commands, even in militaries, when you have large chain of commands, decision automatically takes time to finally get done. And depending on how long the chain is, exponentially the speed decreases. So you cannot make the bureaucracy inefficient. What you can do is reduce the scope in which they make decisions. So, although it is a really absurd saying, but Lee Kuan Yew wrote in one of his books that he came to India once, and he was got in touch with some bureaucrat who was also a bureaucrat in the British era, and he was saying
Okay.
that when the Britishers were here, we few thousand bureaucrats used to run this country so well, and now what it has become. Although very arrogant thing to say, you calling a pre-independence India well governed, but anyhow, the point is that
Yeah.
the, the scope of action was their scope of action was really limited. So they didn't have to take thousands of decisions and be expert on thousands of things to get them right. So even if you consider a bureaucrat as a good person, his scope of things that he needs to do is so big, and the resource requirement is so big to if he wants to deliver them efficiently, he will never be able to do it. So let's let people solve problem on their own, as Anoop sir keeps emphasizing that I can solve my problems on their own, and you learn. How do you learn things? By making mistakes and actually getting in the field. And a government becoming a nanny state and doing everything for you works out for nobody, and you learn to be helpless in a socialist system, while in a capitalist system or a free market system you learn to be self-dependent. And I think that there is a culture of self-dependence emerging in India. The youth is really into becoming independent from household, having his own income, having his own house, and things like that. So that's why I'm optimistic about libertarianism, because we are becoming more individualistic in our choices, and eventually people will realize that since I can do things all for myself, why do I need the government for?
The thing about bureaucrats is, what do you think the power that they have over you as a person? Like, what is this power? What would you say
Fear.
the power is? Fear of what?
Fear of if I'm not in line, that he will do something to me.
He will do something. Why? I feel like everything is connected to money in this case, Say, for example, let's say we remove income tax completely out of the equation. Let's say, for hypothetical theory's sake, right? Nobody is paying income tax anymore. Now, the situation changes, because now a bureaucrat cannot really come and blackmail you, because he cannot say, hey, you have this land. So to a businessman, a bureaucrat cannot really have anything on him, because at the end of the day, a businessman's money is legitimate, because now there is no tax. So he's doing cash business, he's doing whatever business it is, and he's reinvesting into the country, or whatever it is, reinvesting into his business. But a bureaucrat, when he's getting the money now it's very painfully evident that where did you get this money from? Right? So the whole, I feel,
because salaries are capped at something 50,000 or something like that.
Yes, it is capped, right? So now they get called out if they are driving a Ferrari. They have to actually show a legitimate business. But a legitimate businessman who's not paying income tax, so these guys don't know what your salary is, what you're doing, etc., etc. But you're a businessman only. You're not a bureaucrat. You're not involved in government processes and things like that. You're not talking to the people. You're not receiving money for services from the people, right? So you're just a businessman happily driving around in your car. So if we cut off income tax, example, right? That I think it will clip a lot of these guys' power. Now he goes and threatens a billionaire, saying that, hey, I will take you. What can he threaten him with? Can he threaten him with? Right now, the only threatening option that they have is, hey, I know you have circumvented some form of the law by buying some land with some cash or whatever. We'll allow cash. Okay, let's just say. Allow cash. Now what will the bureaucrat do? He can't do anything.
Each regulation is a corruption funnel, because it simply cannot be administered. It just because things basically in India are legal at a price as compared to being illegal.
Like Sanjeev Sanyal was saying to an interview in an interview with Shekhar Gupta in 2021 that I'm probably breaking some law just by existing. There are so many laws and so many loopholes that we have to always get through. Then, if we can't reform the bureaucracy and we can't get them in line, what do we do with them?
You just reduce the scope of their power.
Legitimize a lot of people's lives. Like, don't have anything where other people can come and put cases on them and all of that unnecessary. A person, if he's free, a bureaucrat has to leave him alone. At the end of the day, nothing can really, unless I go and murder somebody or something like that, There shouldn't be anything on me, because at the end of the day, what am I doing? I'm working in this country. I'm doing my business. Why should there be anything stopping me? There should be no regulations on me. There should be no. There should be this basic VAT taxes. Okay, that is good enough. 5% VAT, I pay for everything. If I don't want to pay that, then you punish me to hell. Right? That's when the bureaucrats will start making some money for all those cheap fellows who don't even want to pay that 5%. Right? But for the most part, people will be, okay, all right, you buy this, pay that 5%, 5%.
Yeah, tax revenue will go up with that.
Yeah, don't put too many regulations like this and all, because then it allows these guys to now be corrupt. It's just like any other business. Oh, yeah, they are offering you 15%, I will do it to you for 5%. You cannot allow that into the system. Yeah. So this is what is happening here. The bureaucrats are just businessmen coming in and saying, why are you give me 1 lakh? I will do it for you for free. Done. You know, we can clip
Do we then decrease the scope of the things that they are involved in, or do we decrease their numbers?
Decrease
or
the
both?
scope. We
decrease the
no
scope.
decrease the scope.
Both.
Okay.
A little bit. We need efficiency as well, and we need to decrease the scope of their.
Now,
I'm fine either way. I'm fine either way, but let's start with the decreasing the scope.
Scope,
Right.
Yeah.
Just yesterday, Nirmala Sitharaman confirmed that she convinced the Prime Minister. The bureaucrats were not getting convinced of decreasing taxes
they
for
know
the
this,
12.
right? Yeah, they know this.
Yeah.
They know that money is where they lie. So, you know, like, it is a sad fact. Like, I wish we could have done away with income tax long time ago. I'm sure our country
we'll get to taxes anyway. And even in West Bengal, today, if you try to bring in free markets, even if today Mamata Banerjee decides that, like, I think honestly at heart, she wants to do more investments and stuff, because she hosts that bullshit industry fair and stuff, but no one invests. Everyone just comes, signs MOUs, hangs out and clicks pictures with her and then goes away, because there's no business friendly environment here. And the first people who are going to face the brunt of more investments here are the bureaucrats, the corrupt police officers, and the local Trinamool gundas. So in what world is anyone going to be able to do anything to even come to power and then change things? If the people in power who want to even change these things, they can't do it. How would a Libertarian Party of India do it?
See, I have a different proposition. Let everyone be rich. We already know that you are underpaid. We want you to make money. The Chinese, even after all the corruption, got plenty rich, because they changed the Communist Party had incentivized that corruption became a sort of a lubricant and enabled the action to happen. So this is in some way saying that I am enabling corruption, but I am saying that currently we have a system where bureaucrats are power brokers, and the bureaucracy is basically a machine where you have to pay to circumvent some rules. So you cannot simply get away with the machine, because the system has adapted to that machine. You have to slowly move in the direction of getting rid of all the border regulations. Then you start getting to the center, closer to the center. Meanwhile, to keep things functioning, let everyone make some money out of it, because let market incentive operate. As long as things are getting at a fast pace, we can function really well. So it is. We won't be coming to punish someone, take someone's property, or things like that. No, we believe in win-win situations. We have a foundation in business and non-aggression principle. Let's create win-win scenarios for everyone. You are fine. You are a victim to the system. We don't blame you. You are whatever you are doing. You aren't unique to it. Others around you are doing it. We get it. Let's not. Yes, let's not change the status quo, but make things better for everyone. So I think that those plenty people will agree to a win-win as compared to a win-lose.
Right.
In short,
now,
the country is one big company. The country is just one big company.
Yes.
You know, all the employees need to be happy. That's about it.
Yes. This is an interesting follow-up, that everyone can't be rich. That's a fantasy. You will be as rich as your work deserves. Then how do we convince the Babus who will also, let's say, have some say in who comes to power and who is able to function as a chief minister or prime minister? How do we convince them to be as rich as only how much they work or how good their work is? then will
At
it
the
be
moment,
win-win for everyone?
yeah, at the moment nobody can be rich because there are plenty of regulations. Like you, as a even in engineering college, you won't feel like starting a company of your own. But let's say nothing was there, and you could achieve anything you want with your dreams, right? Anybody, most of these big companies in the US were started from a garage. What did they have?
Yeah.
They had nothing. They were just selling
Yeah.
some little chip here and there and made a computer, and then suddenly they became rich. The same thing will start happening in India because you have nothing to worry about. Here, when you start itself, your parents are going to sit and tell you, oh, don't do
Yes.
this, don't do that. Engineering is the right line for you, and study computers.
Yeah.
In the libertarian system, that is where freedom comes in. You sit there and you dream, you want to go up into space, you will. Because there will
Yeah.
be
Yes.
nothing stopping you. No regulation, nothing. No funding you will just get because there's no regulation on funding. So what's the
Yeah.
problem now? So,
Yeah, but in terms of convincing the judiciary to play ball with libertarians, how is that going to be done? Because like Anand was pointing out that everyone can't be rich. What would be your answer to that?
See, I have a problem with this statement. Everyone can't be
Yeah.
rich. You are
You
saying
can
that
be rich,
everyone
yeah.
can't be well off. See,
Yeah.
one is that you have relative poverty. You there will
Yeah.
always be someone who have more than others. But you are saying that everyone can't be well off. I have a disagreement with that because Earth has plenty. Because that's a resource conversion problem, and Earth has plenty resources for everyone to be relatively well off. Humans don't occupy that much of the planet, and Earth has plenty resources for everyone. So I don't think that's an
Yeah.
issue. But if you're
There is
saying
a
that
flip
everyone
side to
can't be,
this as well. Yeah, there's a flip
yes,
side to
and
this as well. Being rich does not solve like a lot of your problems. Like there are
Yeah,
times
yeah.
when I feel I can just sit up a mountain and then be the happiest in my life. So yeah, I mean,
Yes,
like at the
yes.
end of the day, being rich and that is really something to do with your ambition, right? But if you have that
Yeah.
ambition, can you actually achieve it? That is
But the
question.
bureaucrats are already rich. So how do we convince them to part with their power and on top of that possibly lose some money also? What's the conversation between a Babu and a libertarian politician going to be like?
the conversation will be see we are opening up the private sector. You will have better opportunities in them.
Okay.
Leave the government if you want to make money.
Right. Right.
Join the private sector.
Yes.
That's it.
And because after all, he has some governance experience, so why not put that
You
to
should
use in the board?
understand. People should also
See-
understand why there are so many bureaucrats. That's because there aren't opportunities in the private sector. There is
Yes.
nothing
Exactly.
that like whenever I see people in Bangalore or Pune, I feel like everybody can start their own company. Like they're that good, but then you are sitting under one boss, and there is nothing here for anybody right now. Open up the sector, break everything up, and open everything up. These bureaucrats won't want to sit and go and ask for money from people like that. They will want to have a dignified job in a dignified company. That is how people are. They are doing this because they have no choice. There is nothing else that can be done.
Yes.
Yes. You can see.
You're gone.
I think a generation ago, like our parents' generation, most of them, if they were successful, they were in government jobs, and economy was opening up at that time. So we cannot blame our parents for making the best use of the time that they had. So they are. Let's see them as winners who won in the system, and let's create a better system for them to win again.
Now, I've heard this one very interesting counter argument to our bureaucracy views from the Hindutwadi socialist side that bureaucrats are the source of the power of the prime minister. So, if the prime minister has to remain powerful, if someone has to listen to his whatever his orders are, then you need bureaucrats. You need a number of bureaucrats who have that power, and their source of power are those gigantic scopes of their involvement, and therefore the prime minister is powerful. What do you think of that argument?
I think with what Nirmala ma'am has said in the last they are realizing that it's a double-edged sword. She was openly admitting.
Right.
So it's a double-edged sword. Now it is cutting them. So, it is hurting them from actually being able to help the people. So now they are starting to understand this may not be the right way to be. So, I don't know.
Also, my counter question is, why do you want someone to have absolute power?
Because of if the state has to exist, it has to work efficiently in terms of protecting life, liberty, and property. Even so, that guy has to have some sort of absolute power. His power can't be in doubt, right? And allegedly, the source of his power the source of his absolute power of efficiency even lies on the number of bureaucrats surrounding him.
If you believe in
Yeah.
God, right, you should not believe that any human can have power over you. At the end of the day, you should believe you're equal
Also,
on earth, God is above you. That's kind of how
Also,
it
the
is.
strongest prime minister that we had in history was Prime Minister Indira Gandhi. You have known how strong her achievements were. The country was battered by her term, and additionally, this you can tackle this question from various aspects. Why do you trust someone else more than yourself? You cannot take care of your own. And let's
Yeah.
talk in functionality terms. Right now, decentralized organizations are winning way better than centralized organizations. So even let's say Prime Minister Modi was the strongest in 2019 to 2024. Still, he wasn't able to deliver on
Yeah.
farm laws and things like that. So that
Yeah.
says that it is much more of a myth that see, bureaucracy it's an institution of its own. It has its
Yes.
own interest. And
Yes.
the recent comment by the finance minister made it really clear that it explicitly operates on its own interests. So
These are guys
you
who
are
have the power to hurt you. Like
how
hurt
can
your
Right.
life.
what evidence do you have for the claim that you make that you need a strong bureaucracy for the prime minister to see? They're openly one of the most popular prime ministers in the recent history. They don't obey them. So what do you want? 500
Yeah.
majority prime ministers over it? These are
Yeah.
just childish arguments. You
Yeah.
additionally, to anyone who believes in in a benevolent tyrant, start a
Right.
company. Try
Yeah.
tyrannizing try tyrannizing your employees. You will figure out really quick how beautifully it works.
Yeah.
And now prime minister with prime minister as a CEO of the India Inc. He has millions
Right.
of employees, and he becomes a
Right.
tyrant. See how will things go?
Yeah. And unless that company has a monopoly and a monopsony in the state where he is in cahoots with the babus of that state, then he is going to have a fun time being a tyrant, of course. Like in West Bengal,
Yes, yes.
you don't have the option to leave your job and then find another job.
Right.
You'll have to be stuck in that job. Now your
So,
thoughts on farm laws, MSME
also,
Yeah,
one
yeah,
thing
go on.
I would we should do some podcast cutting because I need to learn more about West Bengal. We have different members from all the areas are joining us, and also we are educating ourselves about what goes on in the ground reality. So maybe sometime we will get to understand how government works in West Bengal.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
a
good
dystopian,
talks.
very interesting thriller fantasy story. Uh, so now farm laws, MSME,
Yes.
farmer subsidization, all that in that sector. What are your thoughts? What are your policies even?
Mm, to introduce to get rid of all the regulations that are inhibiting agricultural innovation and eventually makes MSP irrelevant.
And
To say
yeah, you're gone.
basically the model that we have is that Israel and Netherlands follow research and industry
Right.
collaborate with each other to increase productivity, and increased
Yeah.
productivity is increased productivity that is exchanged in the market and enriches the farmers who is producing it, and those farmers
Right.
invest more in innovation and all. So this becomes a golden circle. So this is
Because
our model.
in terms of farming, there is no reason to prove the business. Everybody eats rice, pulses, that this.
Yes.
Everybody eats
So
it. You don't have to
this gentleman
regulate
is
anything. You don't have to do anything. They will produce more. So let's say everything is gone. These people will just put their efforts into producing more
Right.
and more out of lesser and lesser land. They will start
Yeah.
taking care of their land really better because they know the future now. There is nothing going to stop them. There is no new regulation that's going to come in that's going to destroy them. So now they will
Yeah.
really make the land more fertile. The per
Yes.
square inch production will start increasing. They will start bringing new equipment, automation, robots, whatever you name
Yeah.
it will start coming in. So
Yeah.
this is a industry that does not require any pat on the back. They will just go, like
Right.
if you just let them be.
This is an
gentleman is
interesting
raising the
follow-up
question.
that
This gentleman
is
is
the
raising the question that it's the first step. Nothing can change without MSP. Well, I'm saying that let's stop going after MSP and let's see. How do you know that what MSP is paid is actually worth? I'm going to say there is no gradation of grain in India. You don't separate high quality grain from low quality grain like happens in other countries where a free market operates. That low quality grain is cheaper and high quality grain is expensive. We don't have such mechanism. MSP is just universal, that you just weigh the crop and just pay the price. So I think that farmers are swindled by the government and they are underpaid, and no amount of MSP will ever be able to compensate for differentiation based prices. That can only
It is
happen
an
in a free
interesting
market.
question, though. Bihar has
Yes.
no farm regulations. Bihar has other problems, but they don't have farm
Also-
regulations. But yeah,
Also, MSP application. Those in the border areas of Punjab who produce more of basmati and all, their grain is their produce is directly exported to countries like Iran and all. So though they didn't participate in the farm laws protest. So this says that people only participate when their interests are hurt. So it isn't like
Yeah.
universally Punjab was like, let's go after farm
Right.
laws. Those who had vested interest
Yes.
in keeping the system live, they came out to the streets.
Yeah. So what about Bihar then? There's no MSP, but yet Bihari farmers are the poorest in the country.
See, Bihar, Sanjeev Sanyal pointed out the greatest problem that Bihar faced was the communists killed Kolkata, which killed the credit access market to the entire eastern part of India. So the problem starts there, and then eventually Bihar was doing all right till I think 1970s and 80s, and then they had a downward trajectory of misgovernance. So Bihar isn't a test for MSP as such, but more of a misgovernance and a lack of free market.
And their rivers keep changing their pathways every 20, 30 years. That's also a huge problem.
So, see, that's a separate issue there. Talking in terms of powerful states,
Right.
Water management
Right.
is central to every civilization, and
Right.
even we have such strong central government, but still it isn't able to manage a simple problem as water management, a simple thing as water management. So really says that how much capability that they have and how much trust you have put into them that they will deliver on you when they cannot control inert thing like water. So that is
why shouldn't a farmer get subsidies on electricity since he's feeding us? He's doing such a hard physical job. Isn't taking away subsidies going to make him poorer? Isn't a farmers who are committing suicide, aren't they going to commit suicide thrice and 4 times, 5 times?
yeah, they just don't have the tech to do anything, I suppose. Because it's a very investment is also hard in that industry. Like all these regulations, and how do you plan for something? Okay, so let's say you have a business, an energy business, like, okay, you're installing solar panels, example, right? Suddenly the government increases tax by 40%. You're done.
Yeah.
That is the end of your life, your family's lives, your employees' lives. This is what the farmers are going through. You tell them for the next 50 years, we will not change anything. You have the freedom now you will find 10 generations of farmers happening within that 50-year period. This is all, we did this to ourselves, man. We shot ourselves in the foot. That is what it is to these poor people.
Yeah. Shastri, yes, the downfall happened for 30, 40 years and the credit was made available to them only in 2016. So that's a generational issue that's not going to be solved in 8 years. There's a separate problem with that. I wanted to ask, what are your thoughts on the current laws against men? The insane divorce laws, which, let's say it's my personal opinion that they are insane anti-men laws. How do we get rid of them? And what do you think is the role of the Women's Commission and to, let's say, tilt the balance in favor of justice?
Yeah.
So another men's commission to counter it, or get rid of the Women's Commission?
See, no collectivist or identity will be recognized in a libertarian government. That applies even to genders. You will be judged on the basis of your character, on the basis of your karma. Your gender is irrelevant. And that's what feminists aimed for initially. And now they have twisted it to something else.
Yeah. Now, the entire argument in favor of these anti-men laws or the Women's Commission has always been that the villager wife who's getting beaten up by her drunk husband. How do we protect her without a Women's Commission?
Has the Women's Commission really solved anything? how long has it existed? What evidence does it have that it has really solved the problem? Now we are living in some utopia where women are free to do everything. So I see very little evidence of even after Women's Commission getting something really done. So that essentially means that institution has failed. Also,
now
how do
coming to
you,
the go
how
on.
do you talking in terms of how do you solve them? It's more about industrialization and urbanization.
And also gun rights, even in that case.
Yeah, gun rights. I would like to emphasize that recent tragedy that happened in Kolkata relating to that doctor. The scenario would have been different if gun rights were there and she had guns to
Yes.
protect herself.
Yeah. Or we hear it's a premeditated issue, so she would probably be shot from a far off place anyway. But of course,
Also,
they had to show it as a rape, so that's a complete different issue.
Also, another thing is, if the person cannot defend himself, others can definitely show. What the principle that guns operate under is that of deterrence, not actually shooting
Exactly.
it, but deterrence that I
Right.
can shoot you. That's the threat that I
Yes.
can shoot you. Just like
Yeah.
nuclear weapons. That nuclear
Exactly.
weapons have increased peace because of the
Yes.
deterrence principle. That
Right.
mutually assured destructions. An armed society is a polite society because if it gets violent, then everyone you will be raised to dust. So that's why deterrence can only come with gun rights.
Yeah, you can have ahimsa between countries only if you are armed as fuck. Otherwise, you can't.
Yes.
We are so used to having our mummies and daddies come to our aid, that we have forgotten that we need to protect ourselves. Right? At some point, you need to say, hey, I gotta do this myself.
Yeah, guns are the best because they work on projectile, not on physical touching. So, and humans gain the advantage over other animals because they could throw spears and projectiles from far distances. So, projectiles are the best, and gun is the best projectile that we have.
Right. Mshas, we will take these questions in the end. I'm going to ask them anyway. Okay. So, what all should be done by the government? What all would be done by a libertarian government? And what all would be left to the markets?
I think we answered this in the podcast as well, but we'll repeat it. So, role of the government is that of the government. Role of the government is that of a referee. The same role. It is the referee in the free market competition that we all are participating in. The referee shouldn't take sides. It should be neutral and keep things functional. Talking in terms of more concrete things, the role of the government in the in the nation should be defense of the country and coordination among the cities and towns and villages.
Now, is there any way to ever? Go on.
Coordination, to simplify it, it's much easier for China to build high-speed rails because the central government has much more authority in acquisition of land. But in California, California and India, they are suffering in land acquisition because of all the hoops that they have to jump. So there, the coordination function of the government comes in. That you coordinate between different competing entities, and that's why the USA formed the. USA initially was highly decentralized. I mean to say that New York could put tariff on Philadelphia. It was such a level of decentralized. But then the founding fathers were like that. All these we didn't fight for this stuff, and we need something better. So they got together, formed the constitution, and granted all the state rights and all. So it was to enable better coordination among the states. This is the role of the central government. And role of the state government is role of the municipality and all is that of act of being a referee in the free market competition that is going on.
Yeah, but if we expect someone to be a neutral referee again, aren't we having to depend on the nice personality and the benevolent personality of the man? And how do we know if he doesn't end up taking sides anyway? How to offset that or his evil intentions?
Yeah, these are legit concerns. So what can be done? The one good thing that can be done, and I think the time will come when we will move to direct democracy instead of representative democracy. And also will have faster election cycles as compared to what we have right now. The election cycles that we have right now are because of more of a tech problem, because it is really hard to gather all these resources for in such high frequency. But with the modern tech that we have, elections will be much faster, and with faster elections, we will be able to have greater accountability and faster decision making and changes in decision makers. So technology will solve this problem.
Yeah. Let's talk lawmaking. How? That's in terms of the previous question. How do we make sure that he just ends up being a referee? And the fact that he has to be a referee and nothing more, how do we do those things in terms of law?
Law, you limit the domain where you limit the domain in which he can make the laws.
Yeah, this is a bit more precise here. How would you define neutrality? What are the 3 standards or tests you would write into law as principles of neutrality?
See, it will always be a moving post. You cannot say that this is how I have defined neutrality, and now it will be in perpetuity be followed. It will fight for liberty will always be a moving post. And me giving any definition or 3 pointers, some 4th pointer will come out which will act as a loophole in this. So there cannot be a concretized idea of neutrality. But what people can basically agree on the notion that is can make their judgment that whether he is favoring one side or the other. Just like when they watch a football match and they know that is the referee favoring some other side, or when they watch some cricket match and know that umpire is taking the other side. So it is more of a better left to the judgment of people.
It's a decentralized system as well, right? So the neutrality is kind of like a little bit different for each and every kind of situation out there. So yeah, at the end of the day, the right thing is what is important, I suppose.
And with shorter election cycles and maybe repeated short elections and direct democracy, we can call back anyone who's not being neutral, if that's really that important.
Yeah.
Here's an interesting question. Bill Maher, a liberal, debated Ben Shapiro, a conservative. Bill Maher argued as libertarian for Ganja legalization, but I guess Ben Shapiro opposed it. What are your views on that? Okay, so a bit of a third rail issue, but we'll take it anyway. And should we have a central bank?
Ganja legalization, yes. And second one, no.
I think happened in India. I think it's already
Uttarakhand.
happened. I think in India, like you can kind of with Ayurveda, it's already starting to happen, right?
Hemp is legal in Uttarakhand.
Certain levels of cannabis. Yeah, it is. No, it's legal across India. Hemp is legal across India. It's been
this
legal
is really
now.
this is really I would say if you want to oppose westernization, this is the issue that you talk about. This is a really silly issue. How is it possible that we have Shiv Mahadev smoking ganja and smoking ganja and chilam on the back of posters, and then we are saying that people aren't allowed to do that? This doesn't make any sense. So no, it's up to the culture.
It is a natural plant. Just like you can consider it like a potato, you just probably get a little high. But at the end of the day, it is just natural, right? It's not cooked in a pressure cooker or something like that. It's not man-made. So I mean, like at the end of the day, I think the right thing has been done to a certain extent.
And also making it illegal just simply means that black markets are operating in it. So it isn't like
we get
stop it. So
unhealthy spike marijuana even.
Yeah. So
yes.
What's the point in that?
That is the biggest issue. You're introducing health problems because at the end of the day, it's just growing in the Himalayas. Anybody can just take it, dry it, and do it. So at the end of the day, why would you just I don't see any reason. It's not killing people really. So
I had
do some studies maybe on it.
Yes.
I had a leftist stoner friend who was opposing marijuana legalization and said to me that you see, actually it harms the rickshaw pullers and stuff, the poorest of the poor who just go home and have a joint, because if it's really legal and stuff, then it's first of all its prices increase because it's healthier and you have to go to a shop and buy and stuff, and there's no free market.
Here's the free markets will solve all these problems because those rickshaw pullers, poor guys, man, like they look at their lives right now. Like I mean, like, this is not a life for them. With free markets, the market, they will be so much in demand because there'll be 1,000 companies doing something productive. And you will no longer have to pull rickshaws. There will be an electric motor for something. They will be sucked into some kind of industrialization or something. This is a big issue just by not having enough jobs, good quality jobs for our people,
Yeah. And those jobs are the only ones I think which are not going to be automated away anyway, because we are not having automated rickshaws or Ubers anytime soon. So those
No, I
jobs
mean,
are
auto
there to stay.
rickshaws exist. Auto rickshaws exist today.
Yeah.
My first question is why?
Yeah.
And then people complain about congestion in traffic, and you look like these little autos going and blocking everything. Those guys could be
Right.
driving like better cars on these
Yes.
roads. Why aren't they? Like, what great economy is this that we still have autos on this road? These are the kind of things we need. Free markets to come in quick, like right now.
Yeah.
It's,
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Boichalidi, we have asked these questions in the
Okay,
beginning
no.
already. He has said elimination of Waqf and elimination of Freedom of Worship Act. But we'll take the halal
But in
economy
stages.
question.
But in stages.
Yeah, what were you going to say?
But in halal economy, it
No,
works on the.
you were about to say something.
But I was about to say that getting rid of them in stages, not outright.
Okay. Stages in what sense?
Stages, as I explained, that first get rid of worship places of worship act, and slowly start working your way backwards to what the original role was.
How slowly?
Yeah, that will more be dependent on how politically expedient the whole thing is. But in principle, getting rid of it is the best solution.
Halal economy, the halal certification board and stuff.
Halal economy, it works on a minority principle. Like kosher, we have in India, we have halal, and we don't have that many Jews, so we don't have kosher certification. So it's much more about intolerant minority system. So it isn't some grand conspiracy, but it's just the minority rule. It's a feature of human society. So nothing can be done about it. If you want to start something counter movement, you can start, but if there is no cultural backing, you cannot help it.
Exactly. I think people are free to boycott halal products, but if you buy Himalaya products all the time and it's a halal certified product, how are you even going to get around it? Is there any government involvement in the halal certification board, and how do we solve that then?
Privatization.
See, in libertarian system, government wouldn't have the authority to regulate food. So
we don't. I mean, you should know what you're eating. So at the end of the day, like, you call your local halal guy up and ask him, is it really halal, and have some private people certify it, right? That's kind of how it is.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Private testing agencies kind of. So these are silly issues. See, I don't mean to demean it, but these are silly issues, and libertarian system is much more about common sense, and rather than it is a bit tragic that we are revolutionaries while we are actually much more about common sense.
These are all introduced issues into the system. They aren't inherent.
These are artificial contradictions created by Marxists.
Yeah. What are your views on anti-conversion laws, and how will you change it, or if not, how will you enforce it effectively?
First of all, the word enforce is not going to be there in the libertarian.
Yes.
There is nothing.
See, enforce. Yes, even if it exists, you cannot do it. So it doesn't make any difference. So it is up to cultural institutions are free to compete in the cultural sphere. We won't be interfering or taking sides in the libertarian system.
Yeah, take a breath, everybody. Just think of this as a libertarian. You're free. Like, take a breath.
Yes.
Relax.
If you believe in a certain cause, build an organization, fight for it. But the government or some government, which is essentially some politician or bureaucrat, won't be getting involved in this. Also, I think we missed a question about the central bank that a person asked.
Yeah.
And I would like to say that central bank is the greatest distortionist in the financial sphere, and we need to get rid of it. Interest rates are determined by the time preferences, which are determined by a particular situation that you are facing, situation that a society faces. So interest rates in areas that have high crime will be higher, and areas that have low crime will be lower. So what the central bank does is that it sets the band that you can set interest rate between these. So it creates artificial credit in areas where it shouldn't exist, and dampens credit in areas where it should exist. So this creates all the distortion that we have. So putting it simply, central bank distorts the economy, and it shouldn't exist. Additionally, it is the easiest way for politicians to create inflation. That is, And
Yeah.
inflation is a civilization buster, not a country buster. It's a civilization buster. So you need to be you cannot have any institution have the power to bust the civilization.
What if now some religious group forms giant enclaves and don't let police in to deal with problematic people, which anyway happens today, like for vaccinations or for other stuff, like let's say small pockets of places where Sharia law exists. Is that their freedom, and how do we deal with that then?
See, this is a sensitive issue. So what we need to ensure, libertarianism doesn't mean that you can enslave people and all. We are about
Right.
protecting individual rights. As long as the culture doesn't inhibit individual rights, then it's all right. But if culture starts in trampling on individual rights, it start introducing slavery or things like that, then
Right.
we will definitely intervene. So
Right.
our job in the government is to protect individual rights, and if those are trampled upon, then the government will act. So
Right. Fair enough.
In a libertarian society, the only match we are playing is commerce. It is the market.
yes,
That is
Right.
the only match we are playing. At the end of the day, any
Right.
other issue you guys better sort it on your own. If you cannot
Yes.
sort it, and you're starting to now go and beat a company's business down, breaking him down and all, that's when we intervene. Otherwise, see,
Yeah.
the food you eat, for example, people bring up lot of things, and none of these people are going to invite you to their house to eat that food. So why does it bother you, like, what he eats in his house, right? Unless and until, of course, wildlife protection, right? Let's say you went and killed a wild animal and you're trying to eat. That is when
Yes.
we'll intervene. That is against the
Right.
rules of the game. Then we are the referee there. We'll come and intervene.
Yes.
But at the end of the day, we won't interfere with your life, your skin color, your caste. No. We don't. We are here to ensure that you can live a comfortable life in this country. You don't have anything to worry about. Just like how a good company would take care of you and its employees. Did you have food today? Did you have enough food? Okay, there are people not having food. We will privatize organizations to go in there and try to see what they can do, create a sense of urgency in these areas to probably build hospitals for them and things like that. Because at the end of the day, there is going to be profit everywhere for any business. And so we will try to create these scenarios for them and, ensure that. So we, all these people who are collecting taxes right now, 55,000 people of them, they will all be shifted into listening to the community. Hey, what do you want? Oh, okay, no roads there. All right, let's get this. Bring in get some private companies, bring in funds, get the road sorted, get it done overnight. Okay, 10 road companies. Okay, all of you build one road and get the hell
Exactly.
out. So so this is kind of how the libertarian system will work. At the end of the day, all your issues about religion and things like that and all that, find a way to solve it and coexist. Because if you break those rules, then we will come in. Come into play, really.
And also you shouldn't confuse libertarianism with that you are just left on your own. We are operating in ideally it should be each one left to their own, but we are in reality and we have different constraints. So what we are basically trying to do, what our policies are basically trying to do, is that we know that the government on its own fails, but private initiatives definitely deliver on problems. So we are basically doing, what libertarian policies are aimed at, is enable private initiatives to solve problems while ensuring the protection of the individual. Whereas what communists promise is that we will bring individual freedom via political intervention. Use the government bureaucracy for that system.
Right.
And we know that it is contradictory, because 75 years of evidence we have that actually each time government tries to do things on its own, it creates more and more problems and takes sides and destroys things. So what we are basically trying to do is that
the recent issue with like, okay, for the last 75 years, an ambulance cannot reach you in 10 minutes at all. Here comes Blinkit. Blink and an ambulance is right there. So these guys will solve problems. That's their motivation. That's how they do things.
Yes.
Their objective is not coming to you and saying, oh, this is your religion, so I won't serve you. No, they don't care. You could be like an alien. If you want an ambulance, you will get it.
And if someone cares, then there will be someone else who doesn't care about it.
Exactly.
Now, how do we? Go on.
Our job is to ensure that these brilliant initiatives that are taken by private organizations, they they are enabled instead of we put obstacles in their way that you cannot do this, that.
Yes.
We need to ensure that what objective you are trying to achieve, how can we enable it more and more?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We are enablers.
Now-
Actually, the word is enablers. We are
Yes.
enablers.
Yes.
Continuously. Because at the end of the day, the government makes money only on the receipts, right? We are not going to
Yeah.
make money on your tax. We are not going to make money on all the, just these receipts, and it will be nominal receipts. So it's about mostly about mass. You know, it's not about restriction. We are not going to restrict one company. What is this thing going to make in the libertarian system? So we want kind of to serve everybody as well. So it will be mass, like everybody. It will be like a swarm of businesses running around. Everybody, you hit 18 years old, you can think of a business and just run it. That is
Yes.
Yeah,
what
whatever
will be with the libertarian.
whatever problem you think you need to solve, you are free to solve it. But right now
are
the
free to
system
solve
is
it.
you
Yes.
need to go you need to go to the government and convince it to solve it.
Yeah.
We will be simply
Yeah.
get rid of that system. You want to solve some problem, you are free to do it.
Go
Yeah.
ahead.
How do we protect forests, and what are your thoughts on hunting laws and forest regulations and stuff?
See,
Hunting laws, I would say, hunting laws, I would say, even now, I think even the poaching and all is because they don't have any other jobs. They really don't. So they go in there and think killing a tiger will give them 100 rupees or whatever.
Yeah.
Heck, in a free market system, that is going to be the last thing. You don't want to go and risk your life and hunt a tiger. Trust me on that one, first of all. So at the end of the day, people will have better priorities, and the private companies, running these tours to see these tigers and all, will probably have a better life than somebody going and killing those animals. So at the end of the day, wildlife laws, we can kind of create an ecosystem to sort of protect it. Hunting within game territories, right? So let's say the population exceeds a certain limit, gaming can be allowed to a certain extent, is what I would think. Because let's say if the population just increases to so much, it starts coming into town. So let's say a certain deer population. So a season can be set apart.
Exactly.
Tags can be given, license tags can be given. We can have border patrols, whatever, the wildlife force patrols as well, enforcing these tags to a certain extent. So that in a perfect India, that is kind of possible. Like we can regulate certain things because we can take a census on these things and all of that. So we can do that.
Also, there is no one size fit all answers to such questions. Different areas, according to their culture, will have different ways of doing things, and those areas that function things that do things well, other areas will try to copy them. So we don't need to go for one size fit all. That since we are decentralizing, the point of decentralizing is that we don't have all the answers. You try to solve the problem, and if you actually solve it, if you actually crack the puzzle, others will copy you.
Right. Yeah. The other thing is about deforestation as well. That is another thing that is decentralized. Like certain forests, you really don't want to get rid of because they do more good.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. Now we can't get into nitty-gritties of all policies, so therefore we will skip over that very juicy aspect you brought out. Otherwise, we could have discussed that for another hour. What all must be privatized?
Everything.
Everything,
man. I am
everything
happy
except
getting stuff from private. I fall sick, I go to a private hospital. Like, I mean, like, have you been to
everything
a government hospital? Like,
I think everything except nukes, we are good to privatize.
The news, yes. The news is one thing we can't privatize, yes.
How would a privatized... How would privatized railways work? Wouldn't poor people find it unaffordable to get on trains, just like they find it unaffordable to get on planes these days? Like even now.
See,
not really.
We already have a model. We already have a model of
population, right? They have a large population. There'll be definitely private train companies who will want to serve that population. Like there is lesser. You can buy rice for lesser amount as well, right? Okay. But there are people who, think of the people who can pay as well. The trains will be world class and the bathrooms will be spick and span.
Yes.
That is for sure. Yes. But when you look at we have population, we have numbers. We shouldn't be worried about the poor because they will be served. There will be somebody who can build a train that can get them from point A to point B at a very nominal cost. And we should trust the business acumen and instinct of our fellow Indians. They will find a way. to serve them.
Tushar, you had any points?
We already have a sort of privatization in buses. There are government-run buses and there are private-run buses.
Exactly.
So, and additionally, one thing that is little talked about is about double-deckers and maybe triple-decker trains. They will definitely reduce the cost. It isn't that difficult from going to point A to point B. So plenty innovation can exist. So I don't think that it is a myth that privatization will make railways expensive, because their profit driven. So profit isn't exactly charging high prices. Profit is also about volume. Industrialization works on high volume rather than high margins.
Now, the socialists, Hindutva socialists and leftist socialists would always argue that if privatization is so great and that drives down costs, then why are private hospitals and private schools so insanely costly? They are insanely costly, even though they do provide a better service than governments. So when is that cost going to come down?
First of all, FSI, we have artificial limits on how many floors there can be. And secondly, government creating artificial competition by introducing artificial prices of education that shouldn't exist.
Right.
They're restricting the number of the number of schools and colleges that can be built in a particular area by regulations, and also it's more, prices are basically dependent on demand and supply. It is universal. You can there may be some exceptions, but demand and supply is how prices operate, and government is meddling with the supply. That's why we have high prices of schools.
Right. Wait, I had one very interesting question here. Let me just see if I can find it.
Also, one thing I would like to mention regarding education is that we are already on the free education area, and that company is called YouTube.
Yes.
YouTube.
Yeah. And you think the same principles would apply to healthcare and hospitals as well, right? Just more free market and more hospitals.
Yes.
What is your vision about the rampant littering in India?
Get privatized again. Get some company incentive to clean out all your neighborhoods. Like they say, just 3 or 4 trucks a night go around cleaning everything. One truck to warn traffic that there are trucks there cleaning. Another truck to, pick up the garbage and put it in. Another truck with the guys who can quickly clear up the surrounding areas and get it out to the truck. That's it. Multiple private companies, even there can be, and look at the market for this business, right? There are plenty of people. You get people to clean up each neighborhood. Multiple businesses can crop up, creating, it's not just one company. Like these days, we think about one company for everything. This is not like that. You could have 100 companies in your small state doing the same job and cleaning the hell out of it. So that's it.
Yeah.
And get these private companies to even put a proper system for litter bins around the city, and it's done. Cleaning is done.
Now we have some interesting sets, a bunch of questions from Boishalidi. I'll just club all of them together. Okay. First is you cannot come to power in the center immediately, so why not join BJP, consolidate power, and then you do your libertarian shindig. And then she's asking, are you registered as a party already? And do you have a manifesto and a PDF copy of it?
We not only have a manifesto. Yeah, we not only have, but we have an explanation of the manifesto. Yes. We have argued among ourselves and we have dissected it. It's on the Anoop Zombie podcast channel as well as it's on the Libertarian party channel as well. So please go watch them. We have asked ourselves a lot of questions. So drop in any extra questions in the comments regarding the manifesto. The other questions Tushar will answer.
We are in the process of getting registered, and the final question, you cannot come into power center immediately. One. See, that's what I thought. That's what I started with the podcast with the story that BJP still believes that the government is the way to take care of people, and this mindset or this 19th, maybe it's a generational thing, or maybe it's built a power grabbing thing. So they still believe that government is a force for good, and which we don't. So this fundamental contradiction can never be reconciled. So we cannot come into collision. We cannot merge with we cannot merge with BJP.
Right.
Yeah, it's
this is a very
ideological difference, really. Yeah, it's just an ideological difference. Really.
This is simply non-negotiable. Belief in the government is simply non-negotiable.
If you look at the Libertarian team, I don't think anybody is over 30 years old. So
Right.
most
Yes.
of them, you know what I mean?
Nice.
Like, you know, we are generations apart, I feel. Like, even
Yeah.
in terms of our understanding of society, community, and the world itself, we are like very apart.
This is an interesting question, a bit of a third rail issue, but we'll take it anyway. What sorts of guns will be allowed?
All guns will be allowed. Can you buy them?
Okay, this is a yeah, exactly. This is a very interesting question. Here is a guy who is very, very Hindutvadi, and he finds a lot of good arguments in the libertarian side, but is just not sold on them fully. So he's asking, ask them. According to him, not according to him, according to me as well, India is the only land for Hindus. No other country exists for Hindus. Therefore, here's where I disagree. But what are your thoughts on it? That if some individual laws have to be given up for special rights just to protect Hindus, is that a fair trade-off?
No.
Why not? Why wouldn't a bit of letting go of some individual laws help us?
Okay, can you show that question again? I just want to read between the
Okay,
lines
okay.
there.
Yeah, wait. I'll find it once again.
Sure,
Where did it go? Yeah.
So why I say no is because here is the definition problem, that you will have to define that this is the community, and this is the community which believes in first of all, Hinduism is as decentralized as they come.
Hindutvadis are also decentralized. There's no agreement among most issues among Hindutvadis themselves.
Yeah, so they will always face this. They always will face this problem, because since they cannot agree on definitions, someone will always be an offender, and they will always keep infighting. So, and
Right.
you want politicians and bureaucrats to define the definitions for you, and to take sides. And you want to depend on voter lottery for changing your fortunes. Do you really want to get a government involved in something so precious to you?
Exactly.
Here's the thing. What people need to realize is, yes, you know, there is some strength in being part of a community, right? There is some strength. But then if you are only inbreeding within that one community over and over, I mean, like, at the end of the day, you're living on planet Earth is like the basic concept of it. You know, just because we planted a flag saying this is India and this is America a year ago, you need to realize as a human, you have the right to planet Earth. You have the right to this universe. A lot of people don't realize that. They feel like, oh, this little part of my, I'm a non-vegetarian, so this is the community that only the land of non-vegetarians or vegetarians can live in this place. But no, you have much more potential than just that. These are personal choices. Don't mix your personal choices with it's just saying, okay, I'll be your friend if you all wear black t-shirts. You know, it's kind of like that.
I would be friends with anyone who wears a black t-shirt.
Exactly, right? But we won't want to form a country on it, because at the end of the day, we like some white t-shirt person also.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, you're free to make choices, but you really don't want to get politicians and bureaucrats involved in. That's the basic point. That's the libertarian point.
Yeah.
Yes. Now we did discuss your views on open borders and stuff, and you all clarified that you all are not in favor of open borders or illegal immigration for that matter. But what are your specific views on CA and NRC?
I think that it may appear to nationalists, but I think. See, I'll talk anecdotally. So, in Uttarakhand, we have mates that have come from Bangladesh. So it isn't like that they are doing some malicious activities or things like that. Calling them illegal, legal or illegal is a government definition. So these people just have come to work, and so I don't think there is much of a problem. Although if they start breaking laws and doing some conspiracy against the community, then definitely law has to take its course. But simply calling them bad names because they just crossed the border because of some problems isn't, I think, the right thing.
Okay, and what about citizenship for the persecuted Hindus, Christians, Buddhists and stuff from Pakistan and Bangladesh?
I think that the constitution is pretty clear on that commitment, that it was decided in 1947. I think Nehru made that fact that we will take all the refugees. Also, do we really want to be a country which which doesn't want to help the needy across the world.
Yeah, a good point. Yeah.
Okay, good point. That's a very pro CA point. But here the leftists would argue that then why not take in the or the Ahmadiyas who are also persecuted in Pakistan, or the Muslims who are persecuted for their political views in Bangladesh. So then take anyone and everyone who is persecuted anywhere in the world.
Yes, they are invited to come to India, and
okay,
the condition being that they mix with the culture and don't start harming the community here.
Yeah, they have to come here and ensure that follow the principles of the libertarianism. Don't go on harm other people.
They follow the law of the land. Yes.
Right. Now, what are your views on the budget? How did you find it?
It was India Inc. The India Inc. trying to do some course correction, still not realizing that such a huge bureaucracy cannot do it, and it was more like a corporation trying to do things, but make some changes here, make some changes there. Although the 12 lakh exemption should be applauded to a certain extent. But it was I kept repeating myself in the stream that it will be disappointing to both optimists and pessimists.
Yeah, so the whole point is this budget was a typical case of treating the symptom and not the problem.
Yes.
Either they couldn't identify the problem or they don't know the problem, what the problem is. Where is this unrest coming up from the people? Is it to save a couple of lakhs? Is it to save 10 rupees? Where is all this unrest coming from? There was no thought or effort put into identifying what is the root cause of this problem. They said, oh, you want tax slab change or something like that? I heard it from somewhere. Let's just change the tax slab. They did not solve the problem. People are still miffed with this thing. They probably solved one problem. They created a host of others. So,
yes, also people don't realize that there are some changes in budget allocations, and we are getting rid of some tariffs and things like that. We are moving percentages up and down. So this essentially means that the earlier rate that you put, that was incorrect, and now you have to course correct. Now you are 1 year, 5 year, maybe 10 years late to a thing that shouldn't have existed prior. So you have wasted 10 years of resources into it.
Yes.
So no one talks about
what is the root cause of the people's problem. I don't think they know the answer, but there are people who do know the answer to that. But at the end of the day,
but they'll have to convince the Babu.
A lot of them are afraid to talk as well. Now the people who earned about 25 lakhs will be wondering why the hell didn't I get in on that conversation?
Right.
They are the ones who are screwed now. Why?
And the easiest reform that can be done in the bureaucracy is, let's get rid of the old socialist generation. Give them VRS. You are done. Thank you for your service. We'll work with you as consultants. You now let the young generation come in who was brought up in post 1991.
They'll get awesome jobs because of the free market. Like they'll have a lot of experience to be part of the
exactly.
So they'll survive.
Yeah, and I know we are way beyond the time that we had decided upon, but so I'll just take last one or two questions. Would you agree that the Hindutva discourse online and stuff, especially among the urban youth or even among the Mofussil youth, is a significant rising ideology and a voter bloc? Would you agree that's the case?
It is a culture reviving itself. It's a civilization reviving itself. So no one can deny that. No one can deny that post 2014 and pre 2014 discourse and self confidence in the community was different. No one can deny that. So it's definitely increasing. What I am here to say is that we are more in favor of you, but we aren't in favor of your tyranny.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly. That was going to be my question. That what is your message if you want to get more Hindutwadis to be convinced of libertarians? What is your message to them?
At the end of the day, the libertarians will not recognize these kind of communities, right? So for us, you are Indians. You are Indians.
Yes.
The only flag you should carry is the tricolor flag. No other flag. We don't recognize any other flag. We don't recognize any other. If you want Hindutva, you go to some ocean and buy a piece of land and form your country and whatever, right?
Yeah.
That is how it is. See, in India, you are an Indian. That is how.
And you are mixing two different problems. Cultural Hindutva is a cultural movement. Don't make it political. Culture. We are in favor of the cultural movement, but if you try to make it political, it becomes a collectivist movement, and then and then you essentially have to rely on voter lottery, and you just end up dividing people and creating conflict, which is what politicians want. So don't fall for their trap. It's a cultural thing.
Yes.
Work in the cultural sphere, work in the business sphere, improve whatever beliefs that you hold. Don't let politicians and bureaucrats determine what you can and cannot do. Yes.
What Anoop just said, that's basically from the state side.
Yes.
That's from the state side. And and if at all there has to be any political Hindutva, I can only see that libertarianism helps Hindutva causes the most.
No, we don't support any collectivist takeover of power and abusing others. But if it's about
call yourselves whatever you want, you can call yourselves heavy metal rockers or whatever. Call yourself whatever you want. Form any kind of community you want, but try not to hurt the sentiments of other people. Try not to. This is for all kind of communities, whether it is religious or food based or whatever it is. At the end of the day, that is when we will start intervening. When you start picking up unnecessary fights with other communities and things like that. So.
Yes, being a libertarian essentially means that individual liberty is supreme and everything is subservient to it. And I think Chanakya also quoted something like that, to save yourself, you should even leave the country.
Yeah. Let's see if there's any important questions here. Okay. Beef ban, so even the BJP is not doing anyway. So what are your views on beef ban? And would libertarians block foreign influence because Arab money, Western missionaries, Soros funds, CIA money, etc. distorts competition and free markets?
Why would their money distort? At the end of the day, the money is being used for our benefit, right? And we are cutting out all the political narratives, right, with the libertarian system. So how can Soros actually influence us now? Right now, they are influencing us.
Well, they were influencing up until now.
No, they are influencing only based on these man-made creations that these things are enforced. In our political system, we are not going to enforce anything on religion, on even beef. We are not going to make a big issue out of that. So whatever things are happening, and for example, if you don't like somebody eating a certain type of food, don't invite him to your house. It's as simple as that. Or don't go to his house and eat. He's eating in his place, you're eating in your place, everything is fine, just carry on with your lives is what the situation is. So anybody, that's the thing, whenever we create these communal perspective, anybody, now it does not take Soros to come and distort that. Your local bureaucrat itself will distort it, and anybody else can distort it. Your in-laws could come and distort it. So
this question,
it really does not matter.
This question really reflects that you have low confidence in your own culture, that you cannot compete with external forces. If you have such confidence in your culture, compete with them. And if you cannot compete, it's your failure, not using the government as a handicap for your problems wouldn't really solve the problem. So it's better to make yourself better and make your community better instead of being protectionist in the cultural sphere.
Yeah, because the main problem is again prosperity only. They are being able to do it because of their wealth. So we have to become wealthy in return. And prevent the distortions. I don't have any more questions, I think. Okay, one final question, one second last question. Thoughts on unions?
Unions are fine, but communist infiltration is not.
Yes.
But if you allow unions, it's going to be infiltrated by communists, I think, regardless. So is there any way, do you think unions should be banned?
No.
No, not really.
But communists should be banned.
How will you ban communists from infiltrating even unions?
See, the basic principle is that how do you protect a free society? Free society is protected by, you have to ban the intolerance. You cannot tolerate the intolerance. And communists don't believe in free speech and the principles that a free society holds. So you cannot tolerate communists in a free society. And they are really explicit about their beliefs. They may LARP as altruists, but they are more misanthropes. So you cannot tolerate communists, and we have to be. A society needs to ensure that we don't have any intolerant individuals to protect individual liberty.
Right. Wait. Here's one interesting follow-up. Confidence is not gonna help us in the place of real policy, but I'll just interpret it as since we are not as wealthy as USA right now. So if someone with big money from US wants to infiltrate our views or divide us up further, we can't fight it right now, right? We have to wait until we get wealthy. So what do we do about Soros and CIA money and stuff
Yeah,
and missionary funding
see,
right now?
here is
See,
the
if you
thing
are so into,
about investment, right? We are always thinking, okay, US is the only one that's going to keep investing the money. The money investment is going to come from all around once you open a free market. Like these guys will be just one among, like, you know, the sheikhs could be investing here. Those guys could be
Right.
investing. The market will be so distorted. Distortion will mean nothing. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
right now, we are hanging on to every word that Soros is saying because we are thankful that the US is throwing down scraps. When you open a free market, African chiefs will be investing all their money here.
Yeah,
That's how it
USAID
is going to
stopped.
be. Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
It's all going
We
to
don't
be.
even need USAID.
This is the problem. All
also,
these problems can be
one
solved
thing,
with the lack of free market.
yeah, one thing is the one more thing I would like to add to this is that since money gets involved and bureaucrats is so corruption ridden and politicians are so corruption ridden and greedy about money, they will definitely be bought out. So do you really want someone who is greedy about money to get
Right.
involved in protecting you? Do you really want your army to be dependent on who is the highest bidder for it?
Right.
How is banning communism libertarian?
Because to protect a free society, you cannot tolerate the intolerant, and communists are intolerant and they won't be tolerated in a free society. So it is perfectly fine with the libertarian position. Although this doesn't mean that they aren't free to express their views. They are free to express their views, but they cannot compete politically because they do not believe in democracy.
Right.
They do not believe in the constitution which ensures free speech. They do not believe in that. Since you do not believe in that, we won't turn a blind eye to it. So actually, so this essentially means that when they come into power, there is always the possibility that they will ban free speech because they don't believe in it. So that's why we cannot tolerate
Fundamentally, it does not apply at all. They don't apply
Yes.
to
Right.
this course.
So in that same way, for those reasons, would you ban parties like PFI, AIMIM as well? I don't think AIM actively advocates for an end to free speech, but I guess we can safely assume that he believes in Sharia law, OAC. So would we ban them in a libertarian political system?
If they aren't open to they aren't see, this is the basic principle that we are operating: no tolerance of the intolerant. If they are open to negotiation, then we are fine. But if they aren't open to negotiation of the libertarian principles, or even our constitution, it isn't exactly libertarian, but it's definitely liberal. So if they don't believe in the principles of the constitution, then they are essentially an unconstitutional body. So we are just following the word of the constitution and not doing something different.
Yeah. So unless someone says that yes, Sharia law is great and we would like to have it, they are free to contest elections.
Right.
Okay, then.
No. What did you repeat?
Clarify.
What did you say?
Just like a communist would, a communist would probably end free speech. So a guy who says that Sharia law is great should also be kept out of the political system in the same way, right?
Yes, if Sharia law is against a free society, then Sharia law cannot exist in India.
Right. So my last question is, where did you buy that Telecaster from? Where is it made? Is it a Mexico or USA made Telecaster behind you?
The Fender.
Yeah.
The Fender is it's a Strat. It's a Stratocaster.
Nice.
The
American or Mexican or Indian?
That is American. I got that from.
Oh,
now
nice.
People are going to brand this as an American initiative.
Yeah, everything is American. Yeah.
You got three.
The talking points, the guitars, everything is American.
Yeah, I know, man. I know. I couldn't talk about them for hours. The other one is a Chinese one, though.
Okay. No, so that's a nice balancing because these days Hindutvadis like China really a lot.
Yeah. At the
Okay,
end of the day, That's the thing about the free market.
What does this qualify as?
Oh, that's an Indian one. So we have all three countries. Nice. Okay then. Thanks a lot for coming to the podcast, guys. We are almost nearing midnight. Thanks for staying on. Thanks a lot. We'll have you back soon to discuss specific issues and I think drill you all harder to come up with exact positions for all the topics we discussed over the months.
Okay.
Thank you for your invitation. We were glad to join you.
Good fun,
Thank
man.
you.
Good
Thank
fun.
you, Anoop.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thanks
thank
a
you,
lot.
Anoop. Thank you, Tushar. Thank you guys for joining the live stream. Bye bye. Good night.
যদি সবাই ফিরে যায় ওরে ওরে ও ভাগা সবাই ফিরে যায় যদি গহন পথে যাওয়ার কালে কেউ ফিরে না যায় তবে পথের কাটা তুই রক্ত মাখা চরণ তলে একলা দলরে তুই রক্ত মাখা চরণ তলে একলা দলরে যদি তোর ডাক শুনে কেউ না আসে তবে একলা চলো রে যদি আলো না ধরে ওরে ওরে ও ভাগা আলো না ধরে যদি ঝড় বাদলে আধার রাতে দুয়ার দেয় ঘরে তবে বজ্রানলে আপন বুকের পাঁজর জ্বালিয়ে নিয়ে একলা জলরে আপন বুকের পাঁজর জ্বালিয়ে নিয়ে একলা জলরে যদি তোর ডাক শুনে কেউ না আসে তবে একলা চলো রে একলা চলো